It looks cold out there right now. I can only imagine what it's going to be like Friday nights. We're filming this on a Thursday. I think in their hype video online, JMU's got Mike Houston saying it'll be dark, it'll be cold, it'll be perfect.
But yeah, I mean, for James Madison, I mean, I think it's kind of an ideal situation, and for Sam Houston State, it's probably not. When Casey Keeler, the Sam Houston State head coach, when he spoke on the Southland teleconference this week, he said Sam Houston State was practicing in 70-degree and sunny weather this week down there in Texas. So definitely a difference in terms of temperature, but I mean, it's football. At the end of the day, it's a playoff game, and you got to think that's not going to affect Sam Houston.
And it's December, so you got to be expecting this kind of weather. We're going to talk a little about this FCS quarterfinal game. Greg, I got a few questions for you. JMU averaging 48.33 points per game. Sam Houston State 53.1. Obviously, two of the top offenses nationally. How are they different? How are they similar? What makes them dynamic?
Yeah, I think when you look at the two offenses, they'll look similar when they line up. They'll both be spread out. They'll both have wide receivers out pretty wide. But the big difference is JMU, first and foremost, wants to run the ball, and Sam Houston State, with their quarterback, a kind of a gunslinger type, Jeremiah Briscoe, they're going to want to throw the ball a good bit. They run kind of that air raid offense that you see in the Big 12 a lot, kind of a la Texas Tech, Baylor, Oklahoma, even West Virginia. So that's what they will look like, and that's how they're a little different from JMU in the fact that JMU, even though they'll spread you out, don't make any mistake about it, Mike Houston wants the offense to run the ball with Khalid Abdullah first, get it between the tackles, and then once the defense gets brought in and packed near the line of scrimmage, they can throw it over the top with Brian Shore, who's been phenomenal also, and use those wide receivers like Brandon Ravenel and Terrence Alls to exploit the defense once they get drawn in by Abdullah.
You mentioned air raid offense. It's a nice segue. It's almost like we might have planned this ahead of time. JMU's defense, 23.3 points per game. How do they slow this thing?
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge. They haven't seen a team. I think maybe not the air raid specifically is what's troubling for JMU, is I don't think they've seen a team that's tempoed like Sam Houston State will tempo. I mean, the Bearcats, they want to snap the ball, I don't know, in less than 12 seconds from one play to another, and that can get tough on a defense in terms of communication because you got to get the play in from the sideline, you got to get lined up properly in order to stop that next play. And I think that's something JMU hasn't seen yet. It's something Mike Houston has addressed, and he told me that basically what they're going to do is they're going to shorten some of their defensive calls to maybe make the communication a little crisper and a little more easy for the players to get before the snap goes off for Sam Houston State. And I think that's interesting. But in terms of the playmakers for Sam Houston State, that's an area of concern, I think. They have some really good speed, especially a guy in Jedediah Lewis, the slot receiver. He's very talented. And I think that's one matchup you kind of got to look at and you kind of got to see as who can match up with him, whether it's Curtis Oliver at the slot corner spot or even, if they try to get some mismatches with him on linebackers like Gage Steele and Brandon Herford. How is JMU going to find a way to combat that speed at the slot receiver's position? So a couple of things there with the air raid that makes it tricky.
Unplanned question: are they no huddle?
They will go no huddle at times. They will do all those things and tempo and try to get to the line of scrimmage quickly. So yeah.
Is it a defense that is it an offense that this JMU defense has seen before?
I mean, Richmond threw the ball a good bit with Kyle Aletta, a very good quarterback in his own right, but not this type of team with the tempos. Richmond, to some extent, they still ran the ball a little bit in that sense. With Sam Houston State, it's an offense that's going to want to throw the ball and get the ball to the outside, get it to their skill guys on the perimeter.
See, we threw some unplanned questions there. It's
there
not completely staged here. Sam Houston quarterback Jeremiah Briscoe, 4,459 yards on the season. Looked a little hurt in their second round win. Is he going to play?
Yeah, when he got hurt late in the game, there were some questions. I know JMU fans even tweeting towards me that, is this guy going to play? Asking on Twitter, is he going to play? At the time, I didn't know. So this week on the teleconference, the Southland call, Casey Keeler said he would play. Said, they're going to kind of progress him through practice this week, but he'd be fine for Friday night.
Let's talk health a little bit. How healthy is JMU? Is one good question here is, the Kirsch kid, Mitchell Kirsch, senior offensive lineman. Is he good to go?
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see him this week. I really don't. Donnie Kirkpatrick, he had told me that Kirsch had kind of re-injured his leg injury and then his foot injury this past week against New Hampshire, and that's a little bit of a concern because JMU will have to play that redshirt freshman Tyree Chavis, and Chavis did an excellent job in the New Hampshire game when he came in for Kirsch after only a couple of series. So he played basically the whole game, which was his first meaningful snaps of the season. So I think there are going to be some questions there, especially considering Sam Houston State has an All-American defensive end and P.J. Hall, who had 11 sacks this season. So I think that's an area where JMU has to be a little bit concerned with Kirsch probably sidelined for Friday night.
Give me one matchup to watch in this game.
Oof, that's a tough one. There are a lot of them all over the field, but I think when you look at these two teams, it's got to be the quarterbacks, right? I mean, you look at Brian Shore and Jeremiah Briscoe, and these two, I mean, are probably the best two quarterbacks in all of the FCS. So you're looking at two quarterbacks that are absolutely fantastic. Briscoe, he's going to sit there in a pocket and try to gunsling the ball all over the field. Brian Shore, he can do it with his arms and his legs. JMU fans knows what Brian Shore is capable of and knows what Shore can do. So just a great quarterback matchup.
Hey, remember that position was a question mark for JMU entering the season?
Yeah, it's really, I mean, if you think about how far Brian Shore has come from the guy that, everybody thought Mike Houston was bringing in Connor Mitch to start, a transfer from South Carolina, an FBS school, an SEC school. And Shore, to his credit, didn't let that bother him in camp, and he, starting then, took the job and just ran with it. So Shore has been phenomenal for James Madison.
And he's very professor-like, in those post games, and when you talk to him, he's just I guess at this level you're always a student of the game, but I mean he just kind of personifies that. He is a quarterback, and he's a student of the quarterback position. It looks like.
Yeah, high IQ guy for sure. And think about how he plays the game and his accuracy. He leads the nation in completion percentage, up at 74%, completed over 80% of his passes last week against New Hampshire. And I think that comes from knowing the offense really well and understanding the timing that his receivers get in and out of breaks to throw the ball at the right time. So I think there's no question Brian Shore is definitely a smart kid that's playing the position.
One key to this game for JMU, what do they have to do to win?
I think it's kind of what I was saying before. Get lined up defensively between snaps. I mean, when Sam Houston goes to tempo and when they go no huddle, and you got to get lined up, because if you get lined up, if you don't get lined up, that's when things really start to break down defensively. So I think for the defense, that's definitely the key. And then for the offense, just keep doing what they're doing. I mean, James Madison has proven they can score pretty much on anyone week after week. So I mean, for the offense, just keep doing what they're doing.
Hey, if you haven't already, go ahead and listen to the walkthrough podcast that Greg does for us once a week. It's over on dukes@jmu.com, which is our rival site. And then you can follow us on Twitter. We'll be here Friday night covering this game. And Greg, thanks for joining me up here, and let's stay warm tomorrow night.
We'll be up here. We'll be fine.
Is it heated?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, never mind. You guys have fun out there in the cold. Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Jim.